All right, we're looking at inverses, and we've been doing this for a little bit. We already know what an inverse is, that it's the undoing of the original item. But one way to test if something is an inverse is to do a composite of the two. In other words, to put one into the other. And in theory, the idea is that if they are inverses of each other, they will undo each other, just leaving the variable x by itself. In other words, if you started with x and you did something to it, and then you undid it, you would return back to x. So we've already looked at composites, and that's why we looked at them. So let's just try this out. So here are my two potential inverses. I don't know if they are or not. And the idea is to place one of them inside of the other. So in other words, f of g of x. And to see if that cancels itself off. If it does, then they are inverses. So let's take a look. So if I have 3/4 and then I plug in 4/3 x minus 4, and I multiply that in. Now 3/4 times 4/3 is just 1x. That's a good sign, right? This. And then here I get, oh, I forgot here, sorry, I needed to put the +3 from the original. And then I get minus 4 times 3/4 plus 3. And watch what happens, which is kind of cool. We get negative 12 divided by 4, which is negative 3 plus 3. And we are left with just 1x. So they are indeed inverses of each other. Let's see if the other ones are. Let's test some of the other ones. Let me take these out of the way here. Let's bring in another one and test it out. These look like inverses. You can kind of see the 4 and the 1/4 and so on. And again, I'm going to plug, oh, that guy's called f of x. He should have been called g of x. Let's pretend that this was g of x. And we're going to put it inside of f of x. And so we have minus 4, negative 4, times negative 1/4 x plus 6 minus 6. So again, let's just make sure you kind of know what's happening. We took this guy and we took it and we plugged it into the other one. Did a composite of the two. Now let's multiply them out. Negative 4 times negative 1/4 is 1x. That's good. That's this. And now we multiply negative 4 times 6, which is negative 24, minus 6. And unfortunately, this shows us that those two are not inverses. Because if they were inverses, they would exactly undo each other, leaving us only with x. One last one. Let's take a look at it. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way here first. Let's clean up our work. All right, one more thing out of the way. There we go. Let's bring in our final inverse potential. And the idea here is that I'm going to plug one into the other. Now, you might ask me, does it matter which order you plug it in? And it doesn't. If they're inverses, they undo each other either way. So I'm going to take this guy and plug it in. So that would be 5 times 1/5 of x minus 1/5 plus 1. This, of course, gives me 1. And this gives me negative 5 over 5 plus 1. And you would recognize that to be minus 1. And there we are. We are indeed an inverse. So one way to test inverses, not only by graphing, but also by composing one inside of the other. They'll cancel each other off.